Hey guys, it's Sean and it's October 21st, 2015, which means one thing. Marty and Doc are here! But I think they changed their names to Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. It's kinda weird. Probably to not mess up the timeline or something. Anyways, I'm gonna talk about some Back to the Future theories that are floating around the internet. But first, cue the intro! Apex! Marty thought twice about writing his letter to Doc. In Back to the Future, right before Marty goes back in time, Doc Brown gets shot and killed. To prevent this tragedy from happening, Marty writes a letter to Doc while he was in the past to warn him about the incident. One theory suggests that Marty thought twice about writing the letter to Doc. The reason behind this is because the letter that was shown while Marty was writing isn't the same the Doc showed to Marty later on. You can argue that it doesn't look the same because it got old with age, but if you look closely, you can notice that the style of writing is different and the words are placed differently. This shows that Marty put a lot more thought into whether he should give the letter or not. He probably threw the original away after thinking about how it could mess up the timeline, but then later decided that Doc's life was more important. Now, if Marty didn't write the letter, then Doc would have died, and Marty wouldn't have went into the future. And by future, I mean today. Anyways, this would mean all the things Doc tried preventing in the second film would have happened for sure. This would also mean Marty would have been fired and his children would have went to prison. But thanks to that letter, everything was prevented. The next theory is about Doc Brown being suicidal. The theory suggests that Doc wanted to die, possibly due to his lack of success as an inventor. He openly states that it's his first time traveling, and that his inventions never work, yet he remotely drives his DeLorean towards himself at 88 miles per hour. George McFly knows Calvin Klein was actually Marty. A lot of people have questioned why George and Lorraine McFly didn't recognize Marty as the young man who got them together in the first place. Their son was slowly growing up into the man that they met many years ago, so it would make sense for them to notice this. You can argue that they may have forgotten what Marty looked like back when he time traveled, but one theory suggests that George actually did know. It would seem a little odd for George to forget all the things Marty said to him in the past. Marty told him to go easy on their kid if he ever started a fire. Marty also pretended to be an alien and called himself Darth Vader.
Who are you? My name is Darth Vader.
When he invaded George's room. With the fire actually happening and the release of Star Wars, you'd think George would notice these things. The theory suggests that George did notice all these things and found out his son and Calvin Klein were the same person. The reason George didn't say anything to Marty about it was because he needed to let his time-traveling son go back in time in exactly the same way he originally did, so the timeline would stay the same and for George to turn out as a successful man. Marty the Martyr. Near the end of Back to the Future, Marty returns to 1985 and watches Doc send his alternate self back in time. It is generally thought that this is part of a loop that will infinitely see Marty 1 returning to 1985 and watching himself travel back to 1955. Some fans speculate that Marty 1 was actually witnessing Doc send the other Marty, Marty 2, off to his death. The reason behind this theory is because Doc was worried that two versions of one person meeting would result in the destruction of the universe, and knowing that the two of them would be near each other, especially on an infinite loop, was too dangerous. Because of this, he had convinced Marty 2 that in order for his other version of himself and the universe to survive, he should make a one-way trip to his death to avoid a paradox. Another darker version of this theory suggests that Doc Brown didn't tell that version of Marty that he was sending him to his death. There's another theory that also suggests that the film Donnie Darko is a Back to the Future fan fiction. Richard Kelly, the director of Donnie Darko, is a big fan of Back to the Future. and there's a theory that suggests that his movie was written as something like a Back to the Future fan fiction. Apparently, Richard Kelly liked the previous theory of Marty being a martyr, so he wrote his own version about a teenager who was convinced to kill himself, so that his loved ones and the universe itself could live on. But in this case, Marty 2 is replaced with Donnie. There's also a reference to Back to the Future in the film.
The basic principles of time travel are there. You've got your vessel and your portal, and your vessel can be just about anything, most likely a spacecraft.
Like a DeLorean?
Metal craft of any kind.
You know, I love that movie, the way they shot it. It's so, like, futuristic.
Marty's death. This theory suggests that Marty McFly dies in Back to the Future 2, but Doc Brown travels back in time to save him. Apparently, Doc Brown accidentally altered the space-time continuum, creating an alternate future in which Marty is killed in the tunnel while attempting to steal the sports almanac from Biff. After learning about these consequences, Doc gets there just in time to save him from colliding with Biff's car, which would explain why the Doc would have known to show up at the exact right place and time. Well, those are all the theories I have to talk about. Thanks for watching, happy Back to the Future Day, and remember to have a nice day.
Present day.
Great Scott! If my calculations are correct, it is now precisely October 21st, 2015. The future has finally arrived. Yes, it is different than we all thought. But don't worry, it just means your future hasn't been written yet. No one's has. Your future is whatever you make it. So make it a good one.